Hi guys, it's Doodly Squatch. Got a fun doodle for you and some thoughts. So let's get into it. Here we go. So today's drawing was the result of a hard day at work, but it got me thinking about just kind of the concept of work, a career, your place in it, that sort of thing. Like, what is it you want to do with your life, or where does this sort of culture come from? And I don't know, the I guess crux of the drawing was the feeling of you work a job to provide for your life, but when that job intrudes so much that it becomes your life, and kind of the feeling of being strapped down and not able to live life the way you want to, or kind of the grasp that it has on you, and this isn't the purpose of this is not to sit and whine about my job, because I'm quite blessed. I have a good job, and it provides plenty for me and my family. It's just those moments where the sort of, it's almost like the elder gods of the company are the ones calling the shots, and there's no real, you can't reason with corporate. You can't, they don't see you. and that's not a knock on them. I'm sure the individuals, even at that level, they're human. They have lives and families and loved ones and all that stuff. But I'm talking about the faceless sort of entity of a corporation, a job. Those that see only numbers, they see only productivity, and anything else is just vestigial. You are either producing or you are a drain, and those are the kind of people that drive me nuts when it comes to working a job, because when, especially in a job like mine, where I'm interfacing with people every day. I'm well known enough that people will seek me out because I'm fun. They like to interact with me rather than some of my coworkers, and and to me that bears responsibility. I'm there for them, and to then be weighed and measured by a different rubric, and found lacking, that's just, it's hard. And there are those that understand that and are able to sort of commiserate with me, and then there's those that they're part of the machine, and it's interesting to see those kind of at my level that think they're part of the machine, or act like they are. But it's not like they're making big bucks, and that these kind of decisions make any kind of impact on them. But for me, it's I greatly appreciate the sort of work family that I have, the individuals at the ground level with me, and those that I see every day. We have a good sort of tight-knit community, and it feels good to be with them and interact with them, and sort of have our own sort of inside jokes, or just have it be a workplace, and I think every workplace is like that. You kind of find your own there, and you guys make it throughout the day, and that for me is what's important. Going into the sort of color scheme of this, I wanted to keep it kind of a drab, almost like prison-like setting. It was kind of fun trying to stick with a theme on this one. I'm very proud of the computer chair. Anyways, but it's an interesting thought. Every adult needs a job, and we it's because we rely on money, and money kind of gets us things, gets us places, and we need it. It's an unfortunate reality. Everybody needs money, and when I was a kid, I would say my thought was, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to, make cartoons or just, create art for money. And the, sad reality is, very few people who create art make money, or at least make something where you can survive. If it were just me living in some, studio apartment, trying to make it as an artist, I could maybe make it, but not with a family, not with kids, responsibilities, all that. And I say the trade-off is fair. I'm thoroughly happy being a parent. I really enjoy my children and watching them grow up and sort of make opportunities for them. It's been neat seeing my daughter be ambitious and try and sell puppets and make money that way, and to have my son help me with these editing things and hopefully, launch that into something for him. But just, I'd say I didn't get a real sense of work ethic outside of, mowing lawns to make money when I was a teenager. But even when I had like my first job, just working Parks and Recreation, I would say most of that, I was just making money to buy, junk. I didn't really have any grand schemes. I wasn't saving money for anything, crazy, school, that sort of thing. But once I was married and had a job, my money was very important. It went towards rent. It went towards, keeping a house over my head and gas in my car and paying bills and just all that jazz. And I think it's that kind of overhanging responsibility that can drag down on most folks. I know it's not just men out there. I got plenty of female coworkers, but just in the old school traditional sense, thinking of men folk as the breadwinners, it's it's rough. Good grief. I had a coworker ask me, she's like, what's it like having knowing that you're kind of responsible for this? And I'm like, it ain't great. But that's life. That's what it is. And you sort of find your ways to deal with it. Some people choose partying on the weekends to sort of get their wiggles out, and me, I just like junk food. So hey, pick your vice, I guess. I had a lot of fun with these sort of posters on the wall too. I wanted to make this feel almost dystopian, like a very lived in sort of thing. But I don't know. This is definitely art therapy illustrated here. I certainly felt better after making this, because this seems, this is almost too wild. No workplaces like this unless you work in a call center or something like that, and then that's when you are truly just a number that could be replaced easily, because there's more schmoes out there. And I'm glad that I've made myself somewhat indispensable at work, where there are people that enjoy me and the work that I do, and and that it also gives me the opportunity to have time to work on stuff like this and make videos and try and be a content creator, as the cool kids put it. But Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm not made of steel. I get sad. There's times where I'm real bummed out and I need to go in my office and draw my feelings out and get my grumps going, and this is a pretty good example of that. But I'm happy with how it turned out, and it provides a good opportunity to kind of talk about the sort of real life issues that I'm sure most of us deal with. If you're an adult and consuming, then you are having to either contribute one way or another, unless you're just a complete leech and and rely on everyone else to take care of you. Hopefully it's not that case. But for me, I like to think that I'm doing okay. It's not great. I'm not independently wealthy, but I don't think I'd be happy if I was. It's good to have to kind of earn what you have. Kids enjoy things better if they buy them themselves. Me as an adult, I'm able to enjoy my time off more knowing I've worked hard throughout the week. And little bumps on the road, it's just there to build character. I know I sound like my dad, and that's okay. I don't know. Anywho, thanks for joining me. It's kind of felt like a quick one, but these are all the same length, so who knows? I think I'm losing it, folks. Anywho, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Ta-ta.